Okay, stand for the pledge, please. Yeah. Pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's go ahead and do the roll call. Mr. Malkowski? Here. Mrs. Labudzik?
Here.
Ms. Joy? Here. Mrs. Lammel?
Here.
Mrs. Petropoulos?
Here.
Mrs. Egan, absent, and Mrs. Salter.
Here. Okay, we don't have any guests.
Sammy and Gino.
Oh, do you have anything to say, Gino? Sammy? Okay, so no public participations. 3.0, approval of the consent agenda. So we're gonna have to approve each one of these, or they combined?
They can all be combined.
Okay, so they're all resolutions. I'll read each one, but designated interest earnings for FYI 2021 and prior FYI 2020, 21-22. Resolution authorizing transfer of interest from certain district funds. Resolution authorizing permanent inter-fund transfer of debt, service purposes. Resolution for calling for a public hearing concerning proposed transfer of funds. Okay, so are we going to do it now or wait?
We're doing now.
Okay, can I have a motion, please?
I will make a motion to do all those things.
Okay.
Yeah. And Mr. Malkowski on the second. Mrs. Lammel.
Aye.
Mrs. Labudzik.
Aye.
Ms. Joy.
Aye.
Mr. Malkowski.
Aye.
Mrs. Petropoulos.
Aye.
And Mrs. Salzer.
Aye. Superintendent.
All right, well, welcome everyone. We are about two and a half weeks into summer already. So as I'm sure you've seen the buildings inside, see stuff in the hallway, and Sammy and the entire rest of the custodial staff have really been busting it to try to get everything done, knowing that when we come back, we don't know what it's going to look like. So they're trying to get things done, and Gino is trying to get all that technology done. But so far, it's been a nice start to the summer. One of the first things that I want to discuss is the solar panel project. Mr. Greg Hillman, who a previous board member back in February, had sent me some information on a grant for some solar panels. And these are not solar panels that go on the top of the roof and you just stop paying electricity and they cover everything. But this is more for students to learn and to see what kind of energy is used and to really track that data. We originally envisioned it going on a pole, kind of over by the Finley sign there, a little bit farther south than that in the grass. When we had the companies come, they said we were a nice candidate to have more of an awning style on the brick, and which I think will look much nicer. And the other part is people won't be able to get to it. On the pole, they said you'd be surprised how many people can still get to these panels, but the awning would be really high up. And so we got 4 different bids. We're looking to use the company Wind, Solar, and I keep getting the song stuck in my head, but they are the ones who helped most with the grant. And the nice thing is we do have to pay for this up front, but it will be 100% reimbursed. And it also comes with professional development for our STEM teacher to kind of see how we're going to use this with the kids. And so I'm excited. I think it's going to be something really nice. And again, at no cost. And I think we know that solar is going to become more and more used in different places. I know that Nancy has put that on her house, and I hear that more and more. So I think it's good that the kids can see how that's actually going to work. So I'm excited. They're setting up another site visit to come out, and then once I have more of a timeline, I'll let you know. Part of the grant is that you do have to have kind of like a welcome bash for the solar panel so that your community knows that you're doing it, and we'll make sure that everyone is invited when we do that. So any questions on the solar panel?
Is it just at Central?
It's just at Finley. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So it'll be in the junior high curriculum. And it is something that if we really wanted to do and we thought it worked well, we could apply in future years for the other schools. But there's also you balance that. Do you just want that to be part of the junior high curriculum?
No, I understand. the lawn being.
Yes,
over
yeah.
so that, you know.
Yeah, good question. All right, the next one, I know I discussed this at one of our previous meetings, but the technology coach contract. The state has realized that we complain about the state a lot, but in this case, they have realized that lots of schools have a need for some technology help and technology coaches. A technology coach is probably not a position that a lot of districts need a full-time person for. There are some districts that can do that and would have enough for them to do every single day in and day out. So what they have done is they have started hiring, I think, 8 to 10 coaches across the state who are going to be split amongst districts. And it looks like they're going to have anywhere from 3 to 4 districts splitting a coach. We're looking to use them for 60 days. That means we'd have a coach on site in our district 1 or 2 days a week. And we've talked about the money that we've invested in our smart boards, the portable smart boards. They would work with the teachers on that. They would also just work with how to incorporate technology within the classroom. You've heard me say over and over again that I'm glad we're one-to-one, but I also don't ever want to be a classroom where kids just sit in front of a computer and they have an adult in front of them. That is not what that's used for. And that will be what I stress with this technology coach is incorporate it to advance what they're doing, but not just use as something that can take place from the teacher and from interacting and from mixing in with other kids. So the nice thing is this is not a long-term contract. This is not a position that we have to add that will be around for a while. And we have it for 60 days and then we can say, all right, we got a lot of use out of this, but maybe we have enough experience now we can cut those days back or say, you know what, we really need 60 days again the next year. And this is something that we can pay with some of our other funds. So I think it's a good way to go. Nancy?
These new boards are streaming, right? They can stream.
Yes.
And then, do the kids ever, what are computers? Can they stream when, along with the?
At least for, are you talking, I guess I'm not understanding.
Would they be able to connect to the board and stream to also?
I know for sure that the teachers can, and Gino's telling me, yes, that the students would be able to cast onto
I
that.
think that's gonna be a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
if
there-
you're gonna stream, I think it should be-
Yeah, there's a lot of capabilities on the boards. I'm excited what we can do. And when we talked last month and talking with teachers who have used it in their classrooms,
Oh, yeah.
they've been very positive of
But
what
I
they've used.
just want to make sure, so the kids, their computers don't have. Uh-huh. Yeah. Oh, okay. See, that's where the professional development is all gonna come in, really well.
Mr. Budzik is-
Yeah, are there going to be certain teachers getting priority over the coach?
I think we'll know. I want to make sure it's going to be used wisely, but we also know that some teachers are probably further behind than others. So there would be some, hey, we really want you to get in these classrooms first. We haven't sorted that out, but yeah, we know, and teachers I think are very honest in their technology when they feel comfortable and when they don't. So that will be going out as well. So, yes, Mrs. Lamel?
I've seen that.
Okay, so these people who they have, it's like
Yeah, so they've already done
Do we
some of the
have any
interviews.
choice?
They said if there are
Yes.
more districts that sign on and they are going to be hiring more people,
Okay.
part of that interview process.
And if somebody isn't a match with us, are we able to change our person?
Yes, as long as there's room in there, but they have said like if it's not working, that we will do everything we
Okay.
can to assist.
and if somebody isn't a match
Chrissy.
with us, are we able to change?
Joy to like add to your question or answer or whatever, that, it's a possibility that teachers would probably have sign time like a
Yes.
number. I think that's what some other schools have done, but then they also do like in services, correct? Like, in like planning time or whatever, like, hey, we're gonna go over how to use Kahoot, which everyone knows that by now, but maybe we're gonna talk about, another type Pear Deck. So I think that would be a great way.
Yeah, so this will definitely be some one-on-one and small group coaching, but it would also be some larger institute day type things.
Yeah, well, probably some specific things that would be useful to all
Yes.
teachers. So I think it's a really great plan if we don't already have something like that. I had said before that we have teachers that do that, who are technology experts and trained and make more. So I think this is a fantastic idea. And then I had a question about the board really fast. I know, Gino, I'm not familiar with these boards. So the kids can go into them wirelessly and do like a Prezi or a presentation on it for the whole class. I know that some schools utilize kind of what's called a one beam, and I don't think that we have that per se, or
Yeah, I'm not even sure what the one beam is.
it goes on the ceiling and
Oh,
then
we
you
do
can-
have those now, and
Yeah,
that's
okay.
what we're moving towards these
Okay.
75-inch.
Because that's what I thought, because that's what that is, and
Yeah.
I just didn't know, because that students can't go into wirelessly, and then a teacher has to do it, and it's emailing stuff, so this is fantastic that they're,
Yeah, it's a management program for it as well. And it's like for itself, there's a master program for it, and it goes out down to like classroom level. And then you go to the classroom, that's one of the 12. And, you know, there's other community days. They take it to the night, and we're just using that. And that way, you like the days, the principals,
Okay, Gino, who has the master program? That's what I was gonna say, you. Are we gonna do that in here? Are we getting one in here? Or are we sticking with this?
So this will still be here, but we can always pull it, like if we were gonna use it.
Oh, that's right, because it's on a, yes, we can use it from one of the other rooms. Okay.
So we talk about all the terrible things about the pandemic, but one of the things we talked that was beneficial is it forced us to do some things that we would never have done. And I think of the awesome things some of our teachers were able to accomplish technology-wise, and some of this thing with the ESSER funds. And we've said it before, we know we're going to have to spend some of this money just to have kids in school just for next year. But we also want to be very careful and spend the money in things that invest in the future. And with the technology coach and these boards, I think that is one of the areas that we're doing that. So you will be asked to approve that contract a little bit later in the meeting. Next up, 4.3 is our MAP scores, and we could spend a lot of time on this. I will just say, I don't think in talking with most administrators, people are very happy with their assessment scores this year. A couple of the things I'll point out is that math was actually not too bad. Reading, not too good. And in really thinking of this and talking as an administrative team, one of the things that we have to understand is that math, they pretty much had the same amount of time they usually do. Reading, they still had a large chunk of reading through the day, but reading isn't everything. So when students had to be at home that in the afternoon and do social studies and science on their own, you're doing social studies and science in the classroom, you're doing reading within that as well. So I think we have to keep that in mind. And in talking with the junior high administrators, I think their disappointment was trying to keep the kids motivated to take these tests. I know in talking with Mr. Youngberg, he said he's very proud that most years that the goal setting that the junior high kids do, and he feels that they take it very seriously. He said they had a really hard time with a lot of students getting into that. And it makes sense. I think for most of us as adults, getting towards the end of a school year or the end of something at work, like we start getting like, oh, come on, just get me there. And then we're talking about junior high kids. So there's a lot of pieces in here that I think are missing data points. What I think it is going to be important on is there are students who I think have very valid data that maybe didn't grow as much as they wanted to, maybe grew more, or maybe kind of stayed stagnant. But we know they had a consistent school year. We know that they tried, and those are the things that we can build off of. And I've always said, and I said this 2 years ago when I was coming to the district, and I'll say it now, that we can't determine everything about a student by one test score. I think it's very important that we assess, but we have to look at all different things. And a big part of that is going to be talking with teachers when we come back and having that horizontal collaboration where the third grade teacher talks to the fourth grade teacher and vice versa all over, so that we really know where we need to help these students. We've talked about putting things like tutoring, starting that very early on in the school year instead of waiting until after the first MAP time. And we've talked about adding some staff here and there to really help support them. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we haven't always had these extra activities at the lower levels for financial constraints. But those are things we can do this year. I will say, just like everyone else, especially in terms of special ed, we are having trouble finding people to fill these positions. When we post for an elementary position, we're still getting 20, 30, 40 applicants for it. for special ed, you're getting 1, 2, 3, somewhere in there. And you don't want to just put anybody in there. You need someone who's going to do right by our kids. So those are some of the things we're still working through.
You know, there's a ton of people with special ed degrees, so what's
Problem.
There's a couple factors. I think because there are so many special ed openings, people are able to kind of pick and choose where they go. And if you go up north or out west, that you make a lot more. I think that's just the honest economic position. If they have a high school degree, they can make a lot more going to high school. So there are people out there, but again, we also want to make sure we're finding qualified people and not putting our kids with someone who isn't. So, any specific questions on this? Okay. All right, 4.4. I was really hoping I was going to get up and have a presentation and a clicker, but we're dealing with the state of Illinois, so I don't have a lot to say for an update for next school year. Other than I did have a webinar yesterday. They had 6 webinars across the state for all superintendents in each region. Ours was like the South Cook region. And they really just asked what the barriers were for going back to school. They didn't give any answers, but they said they just wanted to know. And the biggest ones are the ones we've talked about before, and that is, what is the social distance requirement going to be? Is it going to be 6 feet? Is it going to be 3 feet? Is there going to be no requirements? And then is there going to be a difference between vaccinated people and unvaccinated people? They said these are questions they continue to debate, and they hope to have information for us soon. My guess is we'll find out sometime in mid-July. What you're looking at. They also would not answer anything on mask mandates. And in all honesty, the mask issue does not impact our planning at all. I know that it's a very hot topic for and against, but it doesn't really impact how we're going to plan school. What will affect it is specifically lunch. We know we can get kids in our classrooms at the 3 feet distance, but depending on what they decide for lunch will depend on how many areas that we have to have. So if we have to have lunch in the gym part of the day, that's going to impact how many classes we can have. So our principals are, they have about a week left before, and just to tell you, our principals do the month of July off. And so they have like 3 different schedules. We're going to go to junior high, college, 20. Because for the last year, we spent all this time preparing, get the plan ready to go, and then we changed it on June 23rd, and then we changed it again August 7th. So we're really trying to be prepared, but not to wear everyone down, putting together a plan that we can't even use. So we're going to be ready to go when that stuff comes out, but we're really just kind of in a holding pattern, as I said to you 2 weeks ago as well. So, any specific questions for next year that I can not answer? I think that would be a good idea. 4.5 is our III conference. We talked a little bit about it at the last meeting, and Lori needs to know Friday, by this Friday, if you'll be attending the conference and if you'll need a hotel reservation. I'm very hopeful that you'll at least be able to come down for part of it. I know those of you who have gone before have gotten a lot out of it, and you get 2 things out of it. You get the PD that goes on, but I also think it's important for us to kind of step away from a board meeting and spend some time just talking about our families and things going on. And so I'm very hopeful that you'll be able to make it. Again, past practice has always been that the district covers one night and that the individual covers the other night. And that's kind of, it looks like what we're going with right now. But just talk to Lori, let her know, and please call me if you have any questions. I will again be down there first thing Saturday morning, and then hopefully we'll all get to have lunch together. And Kathy and Lori will be your hosts on Friday night, I'm sure, and they're more fun than I am. So you'll have a really nice time. So yeah, it is. It's really nice. So any questions on the III conference? All right, I am going to.
How many Saturdays going, just because the reason I'm asking is just because in the past it hasn't gone that late. I mean, it has kind of, but are they going to be doing it bigger because there's more, it's going to be going later because they can't have as many people packed in those classes?
Yeah, and we have not seen the schedule yet. I would be really surprised if Friday went any later, only because that's when the sponsors really want to get you up to their places. So I don't think they would cross them, but Saturday could potentially go a little bit longer. But we have not received any type of schedule yet.
Yeah, because I just wonder how it's gonna be, because we've all kind of just like wandered in, you know what I mean? Wandered in, or if it's gonna be like, hey, we gotta like, be, you know, I mean, we usually have to go, but it's another thing when you're like, oh my God, all the chairs are taken, you know what I mean?
We always get invited to sponsors, like, that do like appetizers.
Hospitality
and stuff.
suites.
Sometimes it's like, lay me on appetizers and just all sorts, some of these places really whoop it up, you know, and they drinks and stuff, so we usually don't spend much time in though.
And my one other, I did want to give Kathy a shout out before we even started. So Kathy was off yesterday on a vacation day, and we had to purchase all of these air filters that are not that expensive, but they're not that cheap. And it was Prime Day yesterday, so Kathy spent most of her day scouring Amazon Prime for these and got them at a very, very good rate for the district, like $5,000 less than they should have cost. And although I will not encourage our employees to work on their vacation days, she did a really nice job. So I just wanted to.
I spent all my day at Amazon Prime restaurant too.
So thank you, Kathy. And she hates if I ever say anything like that, so I will turn it over to her.
I'm all about getting a deal, so thank you for that. Okay, the first thing on the agenda, historically, we do amend our annual budget, and this year is no different. When we started out working on our budget as early as June and July of last year, we really had no idea what the school year would look like. So when we put the budget together, it was more a traditional budget based on a normal school year. And overall, our fund balances will be increasing by about $1.9 million, which is a little bit higher than normal. I'm very happy to say our fund balances have been increasing steadily, usually not at $1.9 million. And the revenue was pretty much right on target. The state has been good at paying their evidence-based funding. And what that is that's the majority of our revenue source. We get over $10 million a year from the state. Now, one thing we always have to mention is that is a program that is supposed to increase every year. This was the first year, I believe it was the fourth year it's been implemented, that funding has stayed the same. So we're always very conservative because we are, at the mercy of the state. So great news that we got our $10 million that we did last year, but they're already, didn't give us our additional. But fortunately, our revenue does exceed our expenses. Now, our expenses were much lower. They were about $2.2 million lower. And a lot of that came, when we do our budget, again, very conservatively, we always put in contingencies because you never know. So we always put in contingencies for O&M if we need some major project done. So a lot of it came from contingencies because fortunately we did not need that. But also, it wasn't a regular school year. We weren't able to hire our 2 additional math coaches that we put in the budget. Some stipends weren't paid because we were not offered lunches. Professional development. Out of our title grant, we historically, spend a lot of money with professional development. A lot of it didn't happen. So in your budgets, you will see the amended budget. It's in detail, line by line, and that's what will be shared with the state after, and hopefully you approve it later in the meeting. Any specific questions on the budget? Okay, the next thing goes hand in hand. The only source of revenue for the operation and maintenance is the annual tax levy. And the annual tax levy does not cover its expenses. So traditionally, we do a year-end transfer, and that comes out of the educational fund. And the main reason is because when we get our levy money, there is no limit on the educational fund. So we can ask for as much money as we are legally able to, but the O&M is limited. So we'll be having a second hearing. So today we'll actually have two hearings. The first one will be on approving the amended budget, and the second will be to approve the transfer of $800,000 out of the ed fund and into the O&M fund. Okay, then just the construction update. Really not much more to report. The two projects that we have going on outside are the roofing projects and the playground at Ridge Lawn. Even though we've had substantial rain here and there, the projects are still on task. If you've been by Ridge Lawn or you go out that way, you'll actually see the rubberized black track that is going to be around the playground. So the plan for that is they're going to get all the foundation, the fencing in prior to mid-July. In mid-July, the equipment will come in and then they will install it. So that is definitely still on schedule for July, for the end of July. And then the lighting replacement that's going on in all three buildings will be a bit delayed. Twin Supplies has been coming in daily, depending on their fixtures that they have to install. There's been some sort of delay in manufacturing with one particular type of can lighting and some emergency lighting. I got an email saying that those would be in late June. So hopefully mid-July, they would be finishing up. So they are running probably about roughly 2 weeks behind schedule. But no complaints with their work, real good quality, good response time. It's just really beyond their control. The orders were in, but it was a manufacturing issue. So those are the projects that are going on in the district. Anyone have any questions on anything? Okay, thank you.
Forgot about that. Okay. Where's the sheet? Oh, you don't have the sheet? Okay, we're, right now we're gonna open up for a public hearing on the amended budget for the FY21 budget. What? Yeah. Oh, that's right. Okay, we have to say this 3 times. That's the rules we have to ask, even though we don't have any visitors. Public hearing is now open for any comments on the amended budget for FY21. And once again, public hearing is now open for the amended budget for FY21. If there are any comments whatsoever. No comments. I'm going to close the meeting for the public hearing on the amended budget. Yep, 6.2. Potential board action to approve the amended budget for FY21. I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second the motion.
God, I forgot about all these public hearing things.
Aye.
Ms. Choi. Mr. Pankowski. Mrs. Lamb.
Aye.
Mrs. LeBuzzik,
Aye.
and Mrs. Salzer.
Aye. Once again, we're going to have another public hearing on the permanent transfer for the education fund to the operations and maintenance fund. Are there any comments? Second time, public hearing on permanent transfer from education fund to the operations fund and maintenance fund. Any comments? And for the last time, public hearing on permanent transfer for the education fund to the operation and maintenance fund. No comments? Hearing closed. Okay, potential board action to approve permanent transfer of $800,000 from the education fund to the O&M fund. Need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Second? Oh, no, go ahead. Ken, second. Okay, potential board action.
We're gonna take a roll call.
Oh, sorry.
Mr. Pankowski.
Mrs. LeBuzzik,
Aye.
Ms. Joy,
Mrs.
Mrs.
Petrowski.
Mrs.
Mrs. Lamb,
Aye.
and Mrs. Sulzer.
Aye. Potential board action, approve contract with Technology Coach for LTC, with LTC in the amount of $40,800. You need a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Mrs. Lebudzick.
Aye.
Mrs. Lamb,
Aye.
Mr. Malkowski. Ms. Joy. Mrs. Petropoulos. And Mrs. Sulzer.
Aye. Okay, adjourn to closed session for the purpose of.
This, all right, will adjourn to closed session for the purpose of discussion of the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of a specific employee of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee of the public body or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity. However, a meeting to consider an increase in compensation to a specific employee of a public body that is subject to the Local Government Wage Increase Transparency Act may not be closed and shall be open to the public and posted and held in accordance with the Open Meetings Act as defined in the Open Meetings Act, Section 2C1. Discussion of collective negotiated matters between the public body and its employees or representative or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees as defined in Section 2C2, and the discussion of litigation when an action against, affecting, or on behalf of the particular public body has been filed and is pending before a court or administrative tribunal, or when the public body finds that an action is probable or imminent, in which case the basis for the finding shall be recorded and entered into the minutes of the closed meeting as defined in Section 2C11. No discipline or security measures will be discussed in closed session. Can we get a motion to go into closed session?
I will make the motion. I'll second.
Ms. Joy. Mrs. Petropoulos.
Aye.
Mrs. Lammel.
Aye.
Mr. Malkowski. Mrs. Lebudzick.
Aye.
And Mrs. Sulzer. All right, we are going into